Welcome to Training Module 101, an introduction to Cabinet Vision 8, the first of several training videos for Cabinet Vision 8. This and all subsequent training modules were created by and for Busby Cabinets. Whether you are new to the Cabinet Vision software line, Cabinet Vision 8 in particular, or Busby Cabinets, these training videos are here to help you become familiar with the program and Busby Cabinets' use of the program. In today's lesson, we are going to take a brief overview of the Cabinet Vision 8 program, a general review of its functionality and features. We are going to explore those items by drawing a small room from start to finish. Now, it should be noted that while some of the items are fairly simple and straightforward, there are others that could use additional explanation and will be further explored in future training modules. To begin, we are going to open up Cabinet Vision 8, and you can do this one of several ways. The first is to look for the shortcut icon on your desktop, such as the one shown here, or if you're using Windows 7, the shortcut icon that is pinned to your taskbar, such as the one shown here. Additionally, if neither one of these is available to you, you can go to the Start menu, go to All Programs, search out the Planet folder, look for the subfolder Solid 8.0, and look for the Solid 8.0 program file. Click on it to start loading the program. While Cabinet Vision loads, it's a good time to note that unless you have a Cabinet Vision key, the program will not open. The key is a USB thumb drive that simply plugs into your computer and authorizes you to use the program. If you are missing either Cabinet Vision or your Cabinet Vision key, you'll need to stop and notify your supervisor before continuing. When Cabinet Vision 8 opens, you will be presented with a splash screen as shown here. For users of Microsoft Word or other Office products, the interface looks very familiar. At first glance, the program might seem intimidating to some due to the number of icons and options along the top banner. The New and Open icons are the only ones you should be concerned with. All other icons and options are used for programming and setting up of various databases that Cabinet Vision uses. Those databases have already been configured by Busby Cabinets for your use. An important note, in previous versions of Cabinet Vision, we have allowed users to modify certain areas of the program, such as molding profiles and door catalogs based upon need. Starting with Cabinet Vision 8, this will no longer be allowed. To start a new job, select the New Job icon located at the top that looks like a blank sheet of paper. Selecting this icon will allow a pop-up window to come up that will ask for various bits of information ranging from job name and job number to molding species being used. The first area of information is for the job. On the Information tab, there is a job number. We will put in our job number, followed by our contract number, followed by our letter section. The job description field is reserved for the name of the job. In previous versions of Cabinet Vision, Busby Cabinets has used the fields located here to fill in various bits of information such as engineer, salesperson, finish name, and room name. In Cabinet Vision 8, that is no longer the case. That information will be regulated to the Notes tab. Selecting the tab, you will see that there are several fields that are already called exactly what they should be filled in with. Starting with the first room finish will be your main finish. In our case, we'll put in Colonial Sable on Maple. Because we're doing a very simple room for the example, we will not have a second or third finish, but as you can see, you can have up to 2 or 3 finishes in a room, possibly more depending on the complexity of the particular job you're working on. The next field I'm going to concern myself with is engineer name. I will put in my own. I will put in the room name next, followed by the salesperson's name, and for example I will use Jack Busby. On the job information level, that is all I need to fill in for this tab. On the room level, I have the General tab, and I'm concerned with filling in the room name only. The remaining tabs I need not worry about. However, it should be noted that on the Layout tab, if the room height of the walls exceeds or changes from the 120, you can change it here so every wall comes out perfectly the size that you need as you're laying the walls out. For my example, I will leave them at 120. The next icon is for cabinets. This is where I will select construction methods, materials, and hardware and doors for my particular setup. Because my example is fairly simple, we will go with the standard construction, standard drawer box of dovetail, and the swoop undermount for rollouts. On the Materials tab, I'm going to concern myself with the room material. In this case, my room material is not supposed to be cherry, but maple. So I'm going to select maple, and I'm going to select for the exposed interior, finished interior maple, and I will do the same thing for the upper materials sections. The drawer box construction is standard and the rollout is Conestoga. On the hardware tab, generally you do not have to change this unless you are doing something custom, and that will come in future training modules. On the door tab, I'm going to stick with the generic door that pops up, which is a Churchill door. I'm going to select my door, Churchill, and I will select hard maple because that is the species for which I am going for. I will do the same thing for the upper cabinets and the base doors. The drawer front is a little different. I will select that and I will choose Churchill as my door. And that should be it. I will not worry myself with the flutes or layout. Those are tabs you need not concern yourself with. On the countertop tab, it's important to note that whatever your countertop thickness is, you can select it here, but it should match whatever is on your materials tab for the countertop to come out correctly when you draw it. Notice that these are the same. The profile selected is whatever your edge profile will be. If I had a beveled granite countertop, I will choose beveled edge. If I was to choose something else, say 165 or 408 for a wood top, I would select those as well. For this example, I will keep it at beveled edge. The molding tab. Finally, the molding tab. Here is where I'm going to select the materials for the room of the moldings, if there are any. Now this affects not only moldings, but any hardwood that's in the room as well. Currently it's set as cherry paint, but I would want maple paint or maple standard. In my particular case, Colonial Sable is a stain. I will want maple standard. Need not concern yourself with the Profiles tab. Clicking OK will start a new blank job. Once we put in the job information and click OK, we are presented with a blank room that looks like this. We are now ready to start drawing our room. However, before we do anything else, we should save the job file lest a problem occur and the program crash before we have a chance to save it. This is a good practice to get into. Save first and save often. There is an autosave feature, but it is no substitute to saving the file yourself. To save the file, click on the Save icon at the top that looks like a disk, and locate the job location where the job file should be stored. For Busby cabinets, that location is going to be on the J drive in the Jobs folder location, in the proper job folder in the range where the job number falls. In our case, the job number is 1234. So I'm going to look in the 1000 to 4099 folder, in the 1200 to 1299 folder, until I finally find the job folder I'm looking for, 1234 Field of Dreams Lot 101. Inside that folder, I will find a room folder, 1234A Bath 2, where I want to save my job file folder to. I will save the file inside here with the job number and letter section and room name, making it easier to identify if the file is misplaced later on. Clicking Save, it is now saved. With the job file saved, we are now ready to draw the room, and we start by drawing the walls. It is standard practice to draw all walls within a room to give installers and other trades using our drawings a clear understanding of where our cabinetry is located within a room. To lay out the walls, click the button on the left-hand side of the screen labeled Walls and move back into the work area. Notice that the mouse pointer has changed. This is the Wall tool within Cabinet Vision 8. There are two ways of running walls. You can lay out the walls and input the dimension for each wall as you go by clicking and dragging in the direction you wish to go, inputting the dimension, and then hitting Enter. The other way is to draw all the walls in the general shape of the room and change the dimensions of each one after you are done. Either way is fine and based on user preference. As you run the walls, the Wall tool is constantly on and ready to run the next wall length after each click. To release the Wall tool, right-click on your mouse. This stops the Wall tool from running the next section, but does not release the Wall tool altogether. To do that, click the Level Up button in the top left-hand corner of your screen, or even quicker, right-click in the white space and select the shortcut on the menu. Keep in mind that all walls should be run clockwise in Cabinet Vision. This orientates the wall in the correct direction, meaning the wall face is pointing toward the inside of the room. Wall strings are always shown on the back side of the wall. If you are producing drawings to be turned over to the engineering department, or are you producing drawings in the engineering department, only fractional and decimal dimensions are allowed for walls with or that interact with cabinetry provided by Busby Cabinets. Now that we have the walls in the room, we can explore several features along the toolbar across the top and the CAD button on the left-hand side of the screen. Let's look at zooming in and out to see details up close. There are two ways to do this. The first is to use the window tool shown on the toolbar here. Select the tool and then click in the center of the area you wish to enlarge and then drag out until the box highlights everything you wish to see. Keep in mind, the smaller the box, the more you will enlarge the area. To zoom out, either select the Out button, which moves you out a little at a time, or select the All button that will reset the orthographic view to its original view. The easier way to zoom in or out is to use the scrolling button on your mouse. Simply place the pointer over the area you wish to enlarge or decrease and scroll the mouse until you reach your preferred magnification. To zoom out, scroll in the opposite direction. Now let's look at the Measuring and Snap Marks tool found here on the toolbar. The Measuring tool is the default selection for this icon and measures the distance between 2 points. To activate the tool, simply click the icon and return to the workspace. Notice that each corner of the walls are represented by a black dot. These are commonly referred to as cabinet points. Each object represented in Cabinet Vision has cabinet points which represent the end of line segments in the program. These cabinet points are what the measuring tool will attach to when you are close enough, making measuring between 2 points very easy. In addition to cabinet points, Cabinet Vision allows the user to place temporary markers called snap marks anywhere in a particular orthographic view. Snap marks are red points that can be attached to cabinet points or put in specific locations where there are no cabinet points, making measuring and markup much easier. To activate this tool, click the bottom of the measuring tool icon and select the Snap Marks tool and return to the work area. Anywhere you left click will place a snap mark. Notice that when you place a snap mark, the tool stays connected to the mark you just placed. This is so that you can manually enter dimensions on the left-hand side of the screen to get an exact location for the next snap mark. To let go, simply right-click on the mouse, and to release the snap mark tool altogether, right-click and go up a level with the blue arrow in the shortcut menu. To erase snap marks, right-click in the white space, select Properties, click Reset Ruler, and then click OK. All snap marks will erase. Let's put this snap mark information and tool to a practical use. It is a requirement that all plumbing dimensions be shown on the floor plan of drawings. Typically we represent this by a shaded area with dimensions on the drawings. This is referred to as the plumbing spread. In my example, the plumbing comes out of the left corner at 38 inches and has an 8-inch spread. With the snap mark tool selected, I select the inside corner, drag my mouse in the general direction of the plumbing spread, and hit the Tab button until the appropriate field on the left side of the screen is selected. In this case, the horizontal field. Then manually type in 38 and then hit the Tab button again to change fields and manually enter 0 in the vertical field to ensure the point is exactly where it is supposed to be, and then hit enter. Inputting 0 is a good practice to get into. Even though the field may say 0, it's possible that it's not accurate due to the settings for fractional tolerance, which shows 30 seconds as the smallest dimension. Once the first point is there, it is a simple matter of moving the tool to the next location to form a rectangle outlining the plumbing spread. Watch as I do this and take note of the use of negative numbers as I do. If you recall from the initial setup of the room, the wall thickness is 4.5 inches. Once we have the outline of the plumbing spread, we are now ready to use the CAD tools on the left side of the screen to add dimension lines and shading to make the plumbing stand out. Notice that when you select the CAD button, that the snap marks we just laid out disappear. Although you can't see them, they are still there. To make them visible and usable, look to the bottom right hand corner of your screen at the tiny icons. Here you can switch between inches and metric measuring, turn on snap marks, turn on snap to grid, or turn on cabinet points. In this case, we want to turn on snap marks, so I will click on this icon here, and the snap marks are instantly visible once again. Now look at the CAD toolbar along the top. Each of the tools features are labeled, and most are self-explanatory. For the purposes of this training video, we will focus on just a few of the available tools, leaving the rest for further exploration in additional training modules. The first tool we are going to look at is the Hatch tool. Click on the tool and notice that along the left side of the screen you now have a menu available for this tool. Here you can change the hatch pattern to a pattern that is commonly used for plumbing spreads. It also gives a preview of the pattern here. Running the hatching is very simple. Click on each snap mark in a consistent direction until all points have been selected. Right-click to let go and the hatch pattern will fill in. Next, click the Dimension tool and click the first point and then the second. Drag the line to the spot you want the dimension line to be and click again. In some cases, you may need to hold down the Control key when clicking in place to prevent the dimension line from jumping to the nearest snap mark or cabinet point. Do this again for the plumbing spread itself. If you make a mistake and you want to select a CAD item to modify or delete, return to the toolbar above and click on the Select tool. Return to the work area and click on the item you want to modify. The properties of that item will appear on the left-hand side of your screen, and if you want right-click on the item, the option to delete becomes available. Clicking on the Return button at the top or on the shortcut menu will take you out of the CAD tool and back to the main level of the program. Placing cabinets or extras into a room is a fairly easy process. Clicking on the Objects button on the left side of the screen reveals several catalogs with pre-programmed items. The two main catalogs you will use are the Signature and Extra catalogs. For our room example, we only have 3 base height cabinets at 21 inches deep, a full height sink base 30 inches wide, and a 15-inch wide 3-drawer stack cabinet on either side. Let's begin with the sink base. Click on the category of cabinet, narrowing down the choices based on what you are looking for. In this case, base cabinet, base sink, and full height door. In previous versions of Cabinet Vision, you would have found a range of cabinet sizes to choose from. You now have 2 options, a single door or a paired door. Busby Cabinet Standard is to have 2 doors for any cabinet over 24 inches wide, so my selection is going to be base sink, full height, 2 door. Left click, hold down on the selection, and drag it into the room. As soon as I enter the work area, my pointer changes to the outline of the cabinet with a triangle indicating where the face of the cabinet is pointing. Release the button once you are in the work area and click it again to place the cabinet on the wall area. Do not worry about placing it perfectly, we will adjust that next. When you click on an object in the room, in this case a cabinet, you are presented with several parameters about that object on the left side of the screen. There's the clearance between the cabinet and the nearest object left or right, the end position of the object from either side to the end of the wall, the center position, which is where the center of the cabinet on that wall is, the dimensions of the cabinet, the position on the wall, and finally attributes that affect specific features of a cabinet. For this lesson, we are concerned only with the placement of the object along the wall and the cabinet's width and depth. In this case, I want the sink base centered on the wall left to right. The easiest way to do this is to focus on the center parameter and to adjust the dimensions until they match, and we simply do this by clicking on the box and typing in the new dimension and hitting enter. Next, I want to change the dimensions of the cabinet to 30 inches wide and 21 inches deep. Again, click on the dimension and type in the new size. When I hit enter for the new width, I'm presented with a pop-up window that asks me how I want to stretch the cabinet. Since I already centered the cabinet on the wall, I will select both, meaning the cabinet will grow equally both ways. And finally, I change the depth. With my sink base set and the sizing correct, I'm now ready to add the remaining cabinets and size them as well. Watch as I go through the motions to select them, place them in the room, and size them accordingly. It should be noted that you can adjust parameters in any order that you feel most comfortable. Normally, we would place a sync graphic inside the base cabinet, but for this lesson we will not be doing that. Instead, we will focus on running a simple countertop and leaving the sync graphic for another lesson. Once all the base cabinets are set and sized correctly, we are now ready to run a countertop. Here, you will find a button called Tops that will take us into the top editor. Once inside the top editor, you are presented with two options, Auto Build Tops and New Top. You will never use the Auto Build Top feature. Instead, you will use the New Top button only. Before we can begin building a top, we must tell the program which wall and which face of the wall we want the top associated to. This becomes important when you're looking at your walls in elevation or 3D views. Notice the red dashed lines along this wall. This indicates where the top editor is currently trying to associate a countertop to a wall. To change the location, click in front of the wall area you want the top to be located. See how it changes the location. Once you have that set, click the New Top button. To lay out the top, we need to make sure that our cabinet points are turned on. Go back to the bottom right hand corner of your screen and click the Snap to Points icon. Then, return to the work area and choose a corner of the cabinet area to begin. The countertop tool is very similar to the use of the hash mark tool in the CAD area. Pick any point, click it, and continue around in the same direction, clicking each corner until you have completely outlined the area you want the top on. Once outlined, right-click to let go. Now, if we were going to save our top as laid out now, our top would not overhang the sides of the cabinets or the front and would look rather odd in our drawings. To ensure it looks properly, we need to adjust our top to go past the ends and the face. Top overhangs on finished ends of cabinets are typically 3/4 inches and 1 5/8 inches at the face of the cabinet over 3/4 inch thick doors. To quickly change the location of the top's face and sides, we use the Move Parallel Line tool found at the top. When you click this tool, the line segments you created on the now have a yellow dot in the center of each one. This indicates a line segment that you can pull parallel to its current location. Watch as I pull each side of the top and enter a specific distance of 3/4 inches on the left side of the screen in the field parameter. Now watch as I do the same for that front, but with a 1 5/8 inch difference. Almost done. Now we need to identify which edges of the top should receive the profiled edge treatment, in this case the beveled edge. Select the profiled edge icon at the top of the screen and return to the work area. Click each line segment that should receive the profiled edge. Our top is now complete, and we can return to the main work area of Cabinet Vision by hitting the Return button at the top and clicking Yes to save our top, and then clicking Return at the top of the screen once more. We have now drawn a very simple room from start to finish. There are further details we won't go into now that will be discussed in other training videos, such as sending images to the drawings page and making additional notes for installers or other trades. To round out this lesson, we will quickly look at elevation and 3D views. To change to the elevation view, click the tab directly above the work area called Elevation. This brings up a head-on view of the wall. You can change the view to other walls by clicking the arrow icons to either side of the elevation name. Additionally, you can also look at the back of the wall by clicking the wall face back icon. To change to a 3D view of the room, click the tab labeled 3D. As a default, the rotate icon is selected and allows you to rotate the view of the room so you can see the details from any angle. Also, the render mode is set to fill as a default too, which adds a splash of color to the view. As you can see, the walls obscure the view of cabinetry, but we can quickly hide those walls to get a better view. This becomes an important feature in large rooms where cabinetry and extras wrap around corners from one wall to the next. The ability to hide the walls also hides the objects on them, including countertops and moldings. Right-click anywhere on the view and select Show Hide Walls option. In the pop-up window, uncheck the walls that you do not wish to see and then click OK. The walls you unchecked disappear from view, giving you a perfect view of the cabinets. Remember, Show Hide Walls does not delete your walls, it only makes them invisible in the 3D views. This concludes the end of Training Module 101. We encourage you to watch this video as often as needed and to duplicate the lesson alongside the video until you feel comfortable with the program and are ready to move on to the next lesson. Don't be afraid to experiment and play around with the program either. That's one of the best ways to become familiar with it. See your supervisor if you have any questions.